Hello. Today is October 23rd, 2023. Hope you are doing well. So, today we're going to talk about letting go again. So, there are things that we may come to find that it might be a good idea for us to let go of. And we've talked about some of those things. Some of the things that really seem apparent to fall under that category. But then there's another thing that we haven't really talked about. Believe it or not, something we haven't with regards to letting go. And this has to do with letting go of ideas that universally seem to be beneficial or good or right or true. And sometimes when we are trying to determine whether something is good or right or true or any of those type of things, we go through this process of determining what the people around us are thinking and saying, how they feel about it. What is their opinion? What is the consensus among the group about this? And sometimes the group extends beyond our little corner of the world, our kind of group of people that we know and that we all have come to some conclusions that we've drawn. Sometimes the group is a big group. And like we said, universally, things that just maybe because also we've heard it so many times that this is right, this is right, this is right, this is obvious, this is good, clearly this is the right thing, or those type of messages that, sometimes we don't really appreciate how conditioned we really are. And when we're first starting out with the process of discovering and, unearthing, understanding the ways that we're conditioned, the ways we've been conditioned, it's really easy to discover some of those things. Right? When we're not easy in the sense that it's easy to step in and say, okay, all right, like you're rummaging through a box of things and you reach in and just throw it out. Not easy in that way. Easy to identify when we're ready to. That's the thing. When we have the mindset like, okay, you know what? I feel like I'm kind of running around and around in circles and not getting anywhere. And so I'm ready to see what is. When we get to that place and then open ourselves to really seeing what is, not what we want things to be, not what would make us more comfortable, because that's kind of where we've been and what we've done. It's like, okay, it's not working. Come hell or high water, whatever, just show me what is. When we get there, then it's easy to see some of the obvious things that need to be let go of. So if we've been hanging out with a group and the group has been like, yeah, this XYZ thing is great, but then through, when we get to to a place where we're like, some little feeling inside, we're like, I don't know, something's strange here. And we open up, then it'll say, oh, wait, this group of people I've been chilling with kind of had some upside down ideas, and I thought it was cool, but now I'm seeing that it's not really what I thought it was. Anyway, So those are the ones that are kind of easier. But when it comes to getting back to our original subject, when it comes to certain ideas about the what's good for us, that these ideas that are held very widely, sometimes we don't even stop to consider, is that really true? I mean, after all, the messages are everywhere, in print, in the media, in regular conversation, on billboards, bumper sticker, everywhere I look, these messages. So obviously, just because we've got a bunch of bumper stickers and blah, 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 saying that a thing is beneficial or right or true or good, why is that any different than the scenario of me and my group of homies, and then I've come to an understanding there? Well, this Newark thing, that's going to be more challenging. And it's one thing to go against the tide of a group of 4, 5, 7, 12 other individuals. But now, when you're using your critical thinking and your heart, your inner, your gut, your intuition, when you're using that with your mental capacity together and saying, I know everybody, I quote everybody, is on board for this idea or this ideology or whatever. But you know what? Now that I'm kind of just sitting and thinking about it, it doesn't really necessarily convince me. I'm not convinced. Do we need to be convinced? We don't need to be convinced if we don't want to be convinced. But if we want to, if we subscribe to certain ideas, we might kind of want to understand why we hold that viewpoint, right? Maybe. We're in the driver's seat. How many millions of times have we said that? Millions. We're in the driver's seat, and that it's not anyone else's business or any other group, even society. It's not even society's business, all right, to jump in the front seat of my car and start steering, turn on the engine and taking me somewhere in my car. That's up to me, right? But like we said, it's one thing to go against the grain when you're talking about a smaller group. When I'm reading articles, like real, like, quote, scientific kind of stuff or whatever, right? And we're not saying that these things are wrong or bad, right? It's not up to me to decide what's right and wrong for the rest of mankind. This is just about me and my car, me and my journey, me and my experiences, and assimilating what I understand and how I feel into my life. That's what we're concerned with. And actually, when it becomes that now we got to be concerned with what the neighbors are doing and what my family is doing and what the blah, 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 it's muddying up all the waters. And then we get situations kind of like what the world is like right now. Everybody's got something to say about what everybody else is doing. Yet, if we really think about it, Who really can raise their hand up high and say, I know I got my shit together. I know why I do what I do, and I feel 100% confident in why I exist the way I exist in this place. I don't know. I don't know how many of us, but if we just make the assumption that there's not a whole bunch of us walking around on this planet with those messages in our head, then that means we don't need to be spending a lot of our time and energy focusing on what other people are doing, what they're doing in their vehicles. Let them do what they're doing. We got enough on our own plate, especially now. If we get to this point where it's just like, okay, all the books, all the this and all the that is telling me what is right and telling me what is wrong. And my heart of hearts and my brain and my ability to think is not on board. Well, it's funny, we don't start off in that place. We wouldn't be able to start off in that place, like me against the world. Not really against, but when we're doing things when we're functioning differently, sometimes it's received that way. Like, why don't you just do what's blah, blah, blah? Why do you have to be so this and that and go that way? If everybody's going this way, why you want to go that? It's sometimes received that way. And that's fine. Again, that's not our jurisdiction. How people want to drive their vehicles, and if part of the way they drive their vehicle is to judge me, that's their business. That's not my business. Right? It goes both ways. And if we're not at that point where it's like what we just said, if we're not there, then we're not ready for this type of letting go. That's why we start out kind of small, right? Say, okay, my crew, they like to do this thing, and I liked to do it too. When I used to hang, and we were tight, and we all did this thing together, and I was good. Sorry about that. You're like, sorry about what? My phone rang. I had to go away for a moment. So, of course, I have no idea where we were, but that's okay. This is just going to be an intro. But basically, we get the point that it's a process, and you can't run till you learn how to walk, right? And the walking was recognizing the things that, when we came to awareness that certain things weren't serving us anymore, or we'd outgrown certain types of behavior or whatever, we were able to do the thing. But those things happen little at a time. And so, again, we might have, even within ourselves, we might have developed certain patterns or habits, knee-jerk reactions to situations and such things as well. Now, it's not just hanging out with our friends and then saying, okay, I guess this isn't me anymore, but it's just different things that we go through and we experience and we learn and assimilate into the way we're moving around in this place. And we go through that for a bit. And then we get to this place where it's like, okay, now you build yourself up to a place where you feel what we'll talk about in the next installment, which is something we will have needed to build up before we're ready to, like we said, take on the world. Anyway, So we'll get into that in the next installment. And as always, hopefully this was at least informative to someone out there. As always, we want to wish you much love. Bye.